There is a building in China so massive that you could take the Pentagon, the largest office building in the United States, with almost 30,000 people working inside it every single day, and fit it into this one structure roughly 3 times over. And the Pentagon is not small. This place makes it look like a side closet. It is officially the world's largest building by floor area, and sitting right in the heart of it is something that makes even less sense than the size. A beach, a real one. Soft sand, rolling waves, a lazy river, a full pirate ship, and a glowing artificial sun bolted to the ceiling that tricks your body into feeling a warm summer afternoon, even when it is freezing and gray outside. So how do you even build something this enormous more than 1,000 kilometers from the nearest ocean? And why was the man who made all of it happen banned from showing up on the day it opened? Stay with me on this one, because every layer gets stranger the deeper we dig. The part near the end is the reason you will want to be here. Chapter 1. The numbers that refuse to feel real. Let's start with the thing your brain is going to fight you on. The building is called the New Century Global Center, and it sits in the southern stretch of Chengdu in China's Sichuan province. When you read the dimensions, your instinct will be to assume someone added a 0 by mistake. They didn't. This structure is 500 meters long. Picture 5 American football fields laid end to end in a straight line. That is the length of one building. It is 400 meters wide. It climbs 100 meters into the sky across 18 floors. And the total floor area, every level stacked and combined, comes to 1.7 million square meters. That number is too big to feel, so let's make it real. Take a normal American shopping mall, the kind with a food court, a movie theater, a couple of giant anchor stores. Now clone it about 40 times. Now shove every single one of those 40 malls together under one continuous roof. That is roughly the volume of space we're talking about. One roof, one building, one address. And here's where it stops being just big and starts being absurd, because size alone is not the headline. It is what they crammed inside that breaks the whole thing open. Under that single roof, there is a full shopping mall built to look like a coastal town in southern Europe, complete with painted facades and arched windows. There are office towers constructed directly into the outer walls of the building itself. There is an intercontinental hotel with roughly 1,000 rooms, and many of those rooms have private balconies that look straight down into the center of the building. We'll come back to why that detail is so strange in a second. There is an IMAX cinema, an ice skating rink, conference halls, restaurants, a live theater. Hold that image, because it deserves its own chapter, and it is the single hardest thing here to believe. Quick thing before we go further. If a building the size of a small city already sounds insane to you, smash that like button now, because what is sitting in the middle of it is about to make a lot less sense, not more. Chapter 2. The beach that should not exist. The indoor beach is called Paradise Island Water Park, and it does not sit in a corner of the building. It owns the entire heart of it. The sand alone covers about 5,000 square meters. That is roughly the footprint of a soccer pitch, made of actual sand, grading down toward a wave pool the size of a small lake. On a busy weekend, 6,000 people can be in the water at the same time, with thousands more drifting through the shops and restaurants ringing the shoreline. 6,000 swimmers, indoors, in one room. The wave pool runs on a mechanical system that pushes rolling surf up the beach on a set schedule. A lazy river loops around the whole zone, carrying people on inflatable rings, past palm trees and fake rock formations. Water slides spiral down from the upper floors, and a full-size pirate ship sits permanently anchored at one end of the sand as a climbing structure for kids. Now look up, because this is the genuinely strange part. Hanging from the steel skeleton of the roof is the artificial sun, and it is not just a big light. The system pairs high-output lamps with heating elements that warm the air across the entire atrium and physically raise the temperature of the sand under your feet. Stretched overhead is an LED screen 150 meters wide, projecting ocean horizons and slow, fake sunsets across the length of the space. Here is why that matters more than it sounds. Chengdu is not a sunny city. For a huge chunk of the year, the sky is gray, the air is cool, and real sunlight is genuinely hard to find. Inside the global center, it is a permanent tropical afternoon. Chapter 3, the city that wanted to grow up overnight. To understand why this building exists at all, you have to understand the city that was desperate to build it. In the early 2000s, Chengdu was already gigantic, home to around 10 million people. But outside of China, almost nobody had heard of it. Shanghai had its skyline. Beijing had the Olympics. Shenzhen was the factory floor of the planet, and a reputation that mostly stopped at the edge of Sichuan province. It had the size of a global city and the recognition of a regional one. Then in 1999, the Chinese central government launched something called pour growth into China's inland cities and drag them up to the level of the wealthy coastal giants. For Chengdu, that meant money, national backing, and permission to expand fast. Running south through what would become the Tianfu area. The man driving the whole thing was a politician named Li Chuncheng, Chengdu's deputy party secretary and later its party chief. He wanted the southern district to look and feel like a first-tier city within a single decade. That people gave him a nickname, Demolish Li. And at the time, that was not an insult. It was said with pride. But Li needed a builder who could move at his speed. A former soldier turned entrepreneur who ran a company called the Exhibition and Travel Group. Through the 1990s, Deng had been building hotels and convention centers all over Chengdu. And by the early 2000s, his firm was the dominant private player in the city's events and hospitality scene. Keep that detail in your back pocket because it becomes the entire story later. On that land, he built the Century City Convention and Exhibition Center, which opened in 2008 and instantly became the go-to venue for major trade fairs across Western China. It worked exactly as designed. It pulled business travelers into the empty southern district, filled hotel rooms, and gave the whole zone the energy it had been missing. For Li, it proved the southward gamble could produce a real economic engine. That success is what set the stage for something far larger. And it all started from one deceptively simple idea. If you are the kind of person who likes the real story behind the landmark, the deals, the names, the things that don't make the postcards, go ahead and subscribe right now, because this channel lives for exactly this. Chapter 4. How you actually build an indoor city. The pitch for the global center was almost insultingly simple. Deng's company already controlled the land right next to its successful convention center. That convention center was already dragging in thousands of visitors, and the city's obsession with looking like Shanghai or Hong Kong was still steering every big decision being made. So the plan was this: build one single structure, stack offices, retail, a hotel, and a full entertainment complex inside it. Make it bigger than anything in Shanghai or Hong Kong. Put it on land that was already assembled and ready, and hand Chengdu something it could finally point to on a world map. By 2010, the foundations were being poured. The main structure topped out by late 2012, just over 2 years after breaking ground. For a building this size, that pace is almost hard to process. Most projects a fraction of this size take longer. The design came from Shenzhen Zhongsheng architects, who wrapped the whole thing in a maritime theme to match the sea hiding inside. The roof line curves in long, sweeping arcs meant to evoke breaking waves. The upper edges flare outward in shapes the architects compared to seagulls in flight. A vast glass dome rises over the central atrium, letting daylight pour in when the sky cooperates, and becoming the ceiling of the indoor ocean when it doesn't. Now think about what it actually takes to keep a building like this alive, because the logistics read more like a city than a mall. The retail and entertainment core runs to about 400,000 square meters. Wrapped around it, roughly 700,000 square meters of office space fills the perimeter blocks that literally form the outer walls. Moving people through it required infrastructure closer to an airport than a shopping center. More than 240 elevators serve the towers, hotel, and retail floors. Underground parking holds at least 10,000 cars across multiple levels. A metro station plugs directly into the lower floors, so tens of thousands of visitors a day can arrive without ever touching a surface road. Then there's the climate problem, which is genuinely wild. That artificial sun is pumping heat and light into a volume of air. The wave pool, the lazy river, and thousands of sweating, splashing people are all dumping moisture into that exact same air at the same time. So a dedicated mechanical system handles heating, cooling, and pulling moisture out of the central space, while the offices and hotel rooms run on completely separate systems with totally different needs. The plumbing alone is town scale. Filtration loops cycle the wave pool and lazy river nonstop. Waterproof membranes line the entire atrium floor, because here's the nightmare scenario. Any leak would drain straight down into the parking levels, full of cars beneath it. And here's the part most people never think about. This building sits in a seismically active region. The 2008 Wenchuan earthquake killed nearly 90,000 people, roughly 80 kilometers from Chengdu, just 2 years before construction even started, with those outer perimeter office blocks doing double duty as the primary support holding the giant hollow atrium together. On top of that, fire safety for a building that can hold more than 100,000 people at once meant dedicated evacuation routes threading through the entire complex. The formal opening came on July 1st, 2013. The mall opened, the cinema started screenings, the water park sold its first tickets, the hotel took its first reservations. By September, it was running near full capacity. There was just one notable absence at that opening ceremony, and that absence is the most interesting part of the entire story. The man who built all of this wasn't there. Chapter 5. The man who wasn't allowed to show up, Deng Hong, the developer who dreamed up and assembled the largest building on Earth, did not attend his own opening. He wasn't traveling. He wasn't sick. He was in custody. In late February of 2013, just months before the Global Center opened its doors, Chinese authorities detained Deng Hong for questioning. And the investigation pointed straight back to a name you already know. Li Chuncheng, the political champion of the entire southward push, who had been placed under investigation by the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection in December of 2012. The timing was not a coincidence. Li was one of the first officials of his rank to fall in Xi Jinping's sweeping anti-corruption campaign, which launched within weeks of Xi taking power in November 2012. And investigators zeroed in on exactly the thing I told you to keep in your back pocket: the land. Specifically, the suspiciously cheap below-market land deals during Li's years running Chengdu's expansion. Investigators later alleged that the discounted price Deng got for the Global Center site, the favor that made the building possible, may have been the crime that brought its creator down. For a while, Deng's own staff were simply told their chairman was unavailable. The exhibition and travel group kept prepping the building for opening as if nothing had changed. The wave pool still worked. The artificial sun still switched on. The shop still opened on schedule. A record-breaking building rose to completion while the man behind it quietly disappeared. By November 2013, Li Chuncheng was eventually sentenced to 13 years in prison. The ribbon still got cut. Local officials stood under the glass dome, the fake sun glowing overhead and the wave pool churning below, and opened the building anyway. But the ceremony was smaller than planned. Shorter speeches, a trimmed guest list. Officials who had once happily posed beside Deng now kept their distance. His name didn't even appear in the official program. And there was one more thing missing that almost nobody noticed. When the land deal was first structured, it came with a promise: a major cultural arts center, designed by the world-famous architect Zaha Hadid, was supposed to rise on the plot next door. An art museum, a grand theater, public exhibition halls under a sweeping sculpted roof. That cultural center was the public justification for handing a private developer such cheap land in the first place. The Global Center opened on schedule. The Hadid Cultural Center, in the form originally promised, never did. Its shell sat partly visible from the upper floors, the interior untouched. The commercial money raced ahead. The public promise quietly fell behind. But the building itself never stopped. Closing it was never seriously on the table. A shuttered world record landmark sitting in the middle of the new district would have screamed that the whole gamble had failed. So it kept running under interim management while state banks held the loans. In 2016, a state-owned enterprise took a controlling 51% stake, clearing the legal cloud hanging over Deng's old company. In 2019, the property giant Sunac bought a majority stake in the portfolio for around 15 billion renminbi, and Sunac came under brutal pressure from its own lenders. Inside 6 years of opening, the building had passed from a private developer to a provincial state firm to a national property giant, each owner inheriting a slice of its growing debt. The financial structure behind the world's largest building became nearly as tangled as the building itself. And yet today, it is all still standing and still running. It still tops the international rankings as the largest building on Earth by floor area. The mall trades, the hotel takes guests, the offices are full, the water park runs on schedule, and the artificial sun still holds that beach at a permanent, eternal summer afternoon. Tianfu Avenue grew into the financial spine of a city of more than 20 million people. Chengdu got its indoor city. It got its fake coastline and its fake sun, more than 1,000 kilometers from the nearest real ocean. Deng Hong's name is no longer attached to the thing he spent a decade building. Li Chuncheng served his sentence. The building outlived the man who built it, the politician who backed it, and the entire arrangement that made it possible, and it is still going. So here's my last question for you. If someone handed you a full day inside the New Century Global Center, what are you hitting first? The indoor beach, the ice rink, or something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. And if this story pulled you all the way to the end, do the 3 things that actually keep stories like this coming. Hit subscribe so the next one finds you. Smash that like button so more people see it, and share it with the one friend who will refuse to believe a building. I've got another one already waiting for you on screen right now. Go watch it.